Gemma asks, if it were up to you, where would Balky and Larry be and what would they be doing in 2017/2018? I have always thought that it would be delightful if they were right back where they were when we left them, that they had had other lives and other things, but for whatever reason, fate had put them right back in that old apartment. That's what I think all the time. Aside from what we saw on Jimmy Kimmel, if that counts, LOL. Well, it doesn't really. And yet, every once in a while when someone does kind of talk through what they think ought to have happened, I think that my wish would be that they would be right back in that apartment, whether, you know, whatever happened, that they came back to square one. Believe me, it happens. Isabel asks, if you could meet an artist from another time, painter, sculptor, architect, writer, who would you like to have a conversation with? Well, that would have to be Phidias, the mid-5th century BC sculptor and in some sense, I think, architect of the Parthenon in Athens and the Temple of Zeus at Olympia. Probably the greatest artist that ever lived. I'd like to see what he had to say. And if you were to play in The Wizard of Oz, what role would you like to interpret? Well, I've always thought it would be the Scarecrow, but let me think. But then he's done to perfection by Ray Bolger, so there's nothing to add there. You see, none of the characters in the movie could I possibly think of doing because they're done to perfection. It would have to be someone from one of the books. I don't know why, but maybe Pon, the gardener's son from The Scarecrow of Oz. He's kind of a dope. One won't have to find a way to make him interesting. Of course, he's also 15. Linda asks, I love the new designs you create from very old textiles. Thank you, Linda. What is the best way to protect old textiles? Well, keep them away from direct sunlight and overt moisture. If you live in a place like Arizona, you need to actually humidify a little bit because I think the correct humidity for good old things is about 55. You can check that on the internet. But can they be safely cleaned or should they be left alone? If you don't want to end up curled up on the floor rocking with your thumb in your mouth, I would leave them alone. Now, having said that, I know how to clean them because I've done a lot of trial and error and ended up on the floor sucking my thumb and rocking back and forth moaning. But in order to get to where I knew how to do it, I had to shed a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Unless you want to pay some conservator or something, which is expensive and you never quite know what you're going to get. Leave them alone, keep them away from direct sunlight, keep them away from moisture, but check that you have enough humidity so that they don't just dry, and then just use them. Because they were meant to be used and loved. I mean, you know, unless it's a wall tapestry, in which case you got to put it on the wall. You can't wrap yourself in it and watch reruns of Law and Order. Pam asks, where is Alcott Farm? Alcott Farm is right there. Alcott Farm is not yet a place, and if it ever is a place, it'll be a secret place. But Alcott Farm is a concept. It's what we believe in. Sel asks, what is one of your favorite behind-the-scenes memories while filming Perfect Strangers with Mark and the rest of the cast? Well, we did an early episode where we went to the gym and we overdid it so we could barely move, and then the girls came over for a date and we could barely move, and it was pretty darn funny. When we were rehearsing it, we were all squashed together on this couch and we were coming up with funny stuff and we were laughing pretty hard. And there was one moment where we took a pitcher of water to pour them something, and of course, because our arms were all wiggly and wobbly, we messed up. But by that time, we'd been laughing so long, and we were wedged into this couch. We'd been laughing for so long that we were all shaky inside. And when I poured the water, my arm was shaking so much, it poured it all over us, and I peed myself. And then, instead of just being quiet about it, I told everyone, we didn't know each other all that well. I told the girls that I had just peed, and we were so wedged inside that couch. our hips were so wedged that we couldn't quite get up, and the girls were trying to get up and get away from my pee. And that just made us laugh more. And then I think I peed some more, but we still remember it very fondly. Jessica asks, if you didn't do acting, what career would you have done? Well, I would be a writer, or I would be an architect, designer, bossy guy.